Hello.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Not much. I just had a question for a vegan. Do you support the monopoly on violence,
There isn't technically a monopoly on violence.
even though the President of the United States for multiple decades have said it?
I don't really care what you say. I don't even know what you mean by that. So, yeah, you can't imprison somebody as a private citizen, but you can use self defense. You can have citizens arrest. You do have a right to protect yourself, your property. I don't know what you mean by
Okay.
monopoly on violence. Like, yeah, only the state can
Well,
imprison somebody.
because the state only exists because it is a monopoly on violence. So why do you think the monopoly on
Not
violence
really.
is just
Okay, so is
when
it
in only the
okay?
century
So in a
alone?
anarcho-capitalist society, you'd be in favor of people locking somebody in their basement infinitum. You'd
No,
be fine with
you
the slave
ignored my
trade.
question. Can you please respond? Can you please?
This is an issue of what is the better option. Is anarcho-capitalism a better option than some other sort of system? It is clear that having a state having a monopoly on violence, where they're the only ones who can really effectuate arrest and imprison somebody, that is clearly a better option than anarcho-capitalism, where anybody can shoot anybody can do anything to anybody. If somebody like spits at me, do I get to torture them in my basement until they die? Well, that's what
So
happens
you have
under
an assumption versus a
anarcho-capitalism.
fact right now. You have an
But
assumption as of what you perceive the anarcho society would be, as opposed to ignoring your also
That's what it
ignoring the fact
is. That's what it
we
would
already
be.
see
Again, we have
with
historical
government in
precedent
the
for
20th
this.
century.
We can
No,
see
I'm just saying this
stateless
was
societies. Look at any
I like
failed
it.
state. Look at like Yemen. Look at how the slave trade has opened up in Yemen because it's a completely
you're
failed
ignoring my
state.
question. You're gish galloping. You have to
No, I'm
answer my
not.
question,
What
please.
specific
Well,
question are
that's
you
what
asking?
Please, I'm literally saying, please, can you answer it?
I'm asking you what specific question.
Why do you think the monopoly on violence is just when in the 20th century alone, 200 plus million people, not even inside the war, have died only because of the existence of government? And all you have is the assumption that anarcho capitalism would be worse. We have facts versus
Yeah.
assumptions. I
So
get that your
yeah,
assumptions
yeah.
are very
Okay.
valid.
Okay, I can answer
Your
that.
assumptions are
Yeah, I
valid,
can
but
answer
we have
that.
facts to
Yeah,
back
so
it.
I can answer that. So there are certain societies like communism and fascist societies like Nazism that are obviously going to lead to violence. But I'm not arguing for those societies. I'm arguing for liberal democracies. So just because other societies have arisen, like Nazi societies or communist societies, that doesn't mean, oh, anarcho-capitalism is the best answer. Obviously, compared to liberal democracies, there is less violence. And again, this also doesn't answer the question, how does anarcho-capitalism prevent fascism, Nazi societies, or communist societies from starting up? We've had like
I'm not saying
we've had the coal company example, where
no,
it's
no,
literally a
I'll answer.
Stalinist, Leninist society.
Don't gish gallop. I'm
I'm
not
not gish
preaching any
galloping. How am I gish
utopia. I'm
galloping?
not,
I just answered your question.
I understand.
Do you know what gish galloping is?
Of course, yeah.
Chuck, let Z Taco explain.
Okay. Before I was thrown off by Lisa. Can I get a little response as to like a little what I was saying before?
What in the fuck are you talking about? I just gave you a cogent
What was
answer
I
to your
answering
question.
before you cut me off and the 8-bit had the freaking
Do you
moderator?
have ADHD? Are you off your meds? Like,
Well, no,
I'm
you
sorry, I can't
cut
read
me
your
off.
mind,
An
okay?
8-bit moderator.
I didn't
Okay,
cut
what's
you
the
off.
question,
You interjected while I was
No,
talking.
I was answering his question and I got cut off and I was asking.
No, I
what
was
the question
answering your
here.
question and then you
Yes,
started
you
talking.
Well, no, you cut me off. I'm just asking simply what the question was, please.
Okay,
You can ask
so, buddy,
Z Taco
maybe you
a
should just take
question and
ADHD
interrupt
meds.
this when you answer.
Well, no, you cut me off.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Just
telling
restate
you,
your question.
please repeat it. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Because but my point is the monopoly on violence, which you have literally galloped across because you know you can't argue against it, which it's fine.
Okay, so, dude, we've seen how tribal societies, which are fundamentally anarcho-capitalist, operate. You can look at North American
those are
tribal
minimal
societies.
societies.
30% of adult men died via violent means. That is
Right.
far higher than liberal democratic societies.
Those are small
So if we're going,
societies. What happens when you scale the societies with government?
then that's not
Including history.
anarcho-capitalist. It has a government.
No, that's the argument against government as opposed to me trying to support anarcho-capitalism. Because how can you support government with that juxtaposition of what monopoly on violence is?
I'm not understanding the question.
You just ignored. I just explained it 3 times.
No, you didn't.
Why do you think monopoly on violence is just when 200 plus million people
I
have
already
died?
answered this.
No, you haven't. You have literally
I-
tried to threaten it back to me and ignoring the question.
So first of all, I
200
don't
plus million
understand.
people have died.
Okay. First of all, again, if you look at tribal societies, 30% of
Again,
adult
those
male.
smaller societies.
And now you're cutting me off, and then you're complaining about me cutting you off. Okay,
Well,
so
no, because I have to talk.
right,
you cut me off
right,
before.
right.
It's a
So I'm
thing.
answering your question, but then for some reason you don't like the answer, so you
Go
cut
for
me
it.
off.
I
You ask the
apologize.
same
I apologize.
question. So again,
apologize.
if you look at tribal societies, there is about 30% of adult male deaths are violent. I don't know if you have what is it, like 330 million and counting in the U.S. alone. I don't know if the U.S. was an anarcho-capitalist system at that scale, if the violence would be higher or lower. I don't think it's literally logistically possible to not have government systems arise, at least at like a state level, when you have a population that high and that dense. So
Don't you see the issue then?
yeah, the issue is anarcho-capitalist societies are literally impossible. The only way they can possibly exist is in tribal societies, and they ultimately end up having more violence than liberal democracies.
The problem is that anarcho-capitalist society can thrive, but government will always be a parasite that comes out underneath it. And that's literally history.
Okay,
that's
would you rather?
Don't cut me off. I'm just saying, with the U.S. limited republic, what happened with the United States being a limited republic? It's now the
would
biggest
you rather
powerhouse,
live?
arguably, in the
I don't know if you
world.
live in the United. I don't know if you live in the United States. But
I'm just saying, no, it's history. It doesn't matter where I live.
I don't know.
History.
I don't know what history has to do with this. Would you rather live in the United States right now, or would you rather live in a tribal society somewhere? There's some tribal societies.
You're assuming a lot here. And that's your problem. You assume.
I'm not assuming anything. These societies
tribalism
exist.
is anarcho-capitalism.
I'm not assuming anything. There's historical precedent, and these societies exist right now. So again,
tribalism branches into different branches, and you're only going to one side saying anarcho-capitalism is going to be tribalism, when you're ignoring what I am proposing to you. Like, what we already have the facts now.
The only societies that were fundamentally anarcho-capitalist were tribal societies.
Is already proven to kill hundreds of millions of people in one century.
Oh my God.
1 century.
Buddy,
I have the story.
Okay, you're making a double standard. This is a clear double standard. This is a clear double standard. So one, you accuse me of only using one example of an anarcho-capitalist society, which is tribal, as an example of that leading to extreme amounts of violence, and saying, oh, well, you're only using that one example. You can't even show me.
Tribalism.
Shut up. You can't even show me another example of an anarcho-capitalist society existing. That's literally the only historical example we have. Stop interrupting me. Stop interrupting me. Stop interrupting me. The black market where all the drug dealers fucking sell drugs and whack each other?
Underneath the umbrella of the government, because they can't fucking don't want.
Oh, okay. So again,
okay.
Tell mute Zatko, because he keeps fucking interrupting me.
You're interrupting me, but go ahead.
No, you're the one asking the fucking question, you idiot.
I answered.
What is the gray market?
You're the one asking me the question, and then when I give my explanation, you start talking, and then you fucking accuse me of interrupting. No, Taco, mute this fucking, mute both of them. Mute both of them because they're fucking idiots.
All right.
Okay, so first of all, this is a double standard, because when I point to an example of an anarcho-capitalist society, you use the excuse, oh, well, you're only using the example of a tribal society. As far as I know, no other examples exist. The only other technical example is black markets, which are inherently violent. And then you use the excuse, oh, but the police. Again, there's no counterfactual that you can provide. So the only society that I can use as an example is just violent societies. But then you use the excuse, oh, you're only using that one society. Then when you point to governments causing mass deaths, like Mao Zedong's China or Soviet Russia, which I think Mao Zedong killed somewhere between 40 to 60 million. Soviet Russia, it's around 20, 40 million. Well, now you're only using one example, communism or fascism. You're not, and then for some reason, when I use an example of a liberal democracy, oh, well, you get to pick and choose what government society you're picking when you're using your violent examples, when there are non-violent examples that exist, like the society we live in today. But then when I point to an anarcho-capitalist society, the only ones we know to exist are tribal. It's a double standard. So you get to pick and choose, but I can't?
No, you have a misunderstanding of the entire topic, which is very, very poignant right now, which is very funny. But can I make my point now?
Yeah, sure.
So, like how you have also gish galloped and gone.
You don't even know what gish galloping is. You're an idiot.
You just
okay. Taco, moderator. Taco, was I gish galloping?
Yes.
No. Yes, you were. You just talked for like 3+ minutes.
Let's just keep it to the topic.
No, Taco, was I gish galloping? I gave a cogent response to what you asked. That is not fucking gish galloping.
I'll go past it. I'll go past it. Don't matter.
I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. Let's just go one at a time.
I agree. All I'm saying is I have a source right here from the Hawaii University, and I don't know what you can do to debunk it. When 1 century alone, 200+, and I know you're going to blab and try and cut me off. I'm saying 200+ million people, not in war, have died
I understand.
only due to the existence of government. And you're bringing up examples of tribalism, which are very small, congested minority groups, as opposed to a government which was created to be able to spread, which we have seen with the U.S. example being a limited republic and expanding to one of the greatest powerhouses ever, also in certain countries in the Middle East and Asia. I mean, that's just history.
Yeah,
and
so
you're ignoring the history and trying to say that tribalism this, tribalism that, as a straw man when it literally that's not even what the argument is.
I've already answered this. I've already answered this. Those are the only societies those are the only societies that I know of that are examples of anarcho-capitalism. Secondly, I'm not claiming every single government system is good. I'm against communism. I'm against fascism. But I am pro-liberal democracies. Liberal democracies seem to cause the least amount of violence and the most amount of societal good. And that's compared to anarcho-capitalist societies that we know of, and that's compared to communist and fascist societies we know of. It's not a dichotomy.
Why are you ignoring my facts?
What do you mean ignoring? I'm against communism. What point are you trying to make?
How can you justify 200+ million?
I'm not justifying it. I said I'm against communism and fascism. What are you fucking talking about?
You don't even know what I've shared, because I can share in DM, but I just didn't want to spam you and you block me. So I'm not trying to send you a DM of a link, but 200+ million people not even a war, not involved in only communism and fascism, have died in the 20th century.
Are you talking about? Okay.
Why do you think it's just? I apologize.
What deaths are you talking about specifically?
Let's finalize it.
Yeah, what deaths are you talking about specifically?
No problem. Yeah, we can move on.
No, what deaths are you talking about specifically?
Do you want me? Well, I shared the Bataco below said he wants to sort of move on, which I should.
No, what deaths are you talking about specifically? Because again, this whole topic is about liberal democracies. This whole topic is about liberal democracies versus anarcho-capitalism. So I want to know what the counterfactual is. Where are these deaths coming from? Where's the chat? Just tell me where the deaths come from.
And it's in the chat.
Just tell me where the deaths come from. I don't need to read the whole fucking paper. Just tell me where the deaths come from.
I'm not going to blab.
Okay, so you're a liar. All I'm asking you is where the deaths you're talking about are coming from. You're saying they're not from communism, they're not from starvation, they're not from war. Where are these 200 million deaths coming from?
Starvation you just threw in there. Starvation you have.
Yes, that's communism, you idiot.
No, starvation is not inherent to communism.
Oh, it's not inherent to communism? That's why every single communist society has undergone starvation?
Vegan, I think you have lost supply.
Where are the deaths coming from? I just want to know what the counterfactual is.
You can't debunk them. It's
okay. This guy is a fucking sophist. I'm just asking you where these deaths come from so I understand what the fucking counterfactual is.
I shared them.
Just tell me. I don't want to read a fucking paper. Just tell me.
You can't click a link. I apologize.
Just fucking tell me, you idiot.
Move on. I apologize.
Kick this guy. He's wasting my fucking time. I can't believe this.